recommend to people that are looking to do construction? Like, what are the benefits of doing a construction loan, and what kind of
Well,
construction you have?
you could be your own general contractor and you can do a construction loan with us. And that just means you're not hiring a builder who's going to run the whole project. You're going to run your project. So in essence, you will save money when you're running your own project. You just have to get us all the estimates of the foundation, the well, the septic, framing. I mean, it's an own entirety that we would have to sit together. Whenever someone calls me and says, I'm looking to build a home, I want to sit with you.
This here is for you guys, the movers and the shakers, the motivated and creators, the big thinkers, the big dreamers, the outliers, the one pushing the needle forward, the students of the game and the ones making their lanes, the ones that get things done and know everything is one. Welcome to your pod, the Everything is Everything podcast. Let's go!
Can't ignore it, this my story, I've been more than ready. And this stuff I'm cooking up is like culinary. True intentions, must I mention it?
Season 2. Hey guys, welcome back to the Everything is Everything podcast. I am very excited. We are in season 2. We have a very, very special guest today. I'm so excited. One of my personal mentors has taught me so much when I got into the industry. I started off in lending, and she was literally my mentor and showed me everything that I need to know. And still, all that information carries me through this day. So I'm very excited and thankful for you joining us. And I'm going to give a quick introduction just to explain who this wonderful person is. So she has over 33 years of experience in the mortgage industry. She works all of the Hudson Valley. She works for Walden Savings Bank and she is a community leader and works with many different organizations within her company to make sure that people have the ability to get loans. She is seasoned in construction loans, all types of loans. And we're going to get into some of those. But just wealth of information when it comes to the lending space. And I am so thankful that you were able to join us on, I know, your very busy day. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce Anna Tranchina.
Thank you, Vlad. That was very kind of you.
You, Anna. Appreciate you for joining us today. Yeah, just kind of want to speak with you a little bit about everything involving real estate. But first, I want to start off with a little bit more about you and just knowing what kind of got you into the lending space in the first place.
So I'll try to keep this very brief. My ex-husband was a mortgage loan officer in the 80s, and in 1989 I was in the hospital giving birth to my son, and he came in and said, I quit my job, we're starting our own company. So that's how we started our company. And I was working from day one that my son was born, and we worked out of our house. And then after that, about 10 years later, when we weren't together anymore, I went on to other brokers. And then I landed with Walden about 12 years ago. And I wanted to work for a small community bank because literally people walk in and we know their names and they could talk to the people involved in whether it's a mortgage or an equity loan or their checking account. I just love that. And we do a lot for the community, helping out different organizations.
I love that. I love that. And that was gonna be like kind of my next question in regards to that. So like with a person who's so experienced with brokerages and with a community bank now for so long, what would you say are some of the differences of the broker aspect compared to the community bank, both on the work side and maybe on the lending side?
On the lending side, the biggest difference is that we don't sell any of our loans. We keep our loans. And on the one side where the loans go to Freddie Mac, we maintain the servicing of the loan for the life of your loan. So like I have my loan with Walden, I could just walk into any branch and make my payment. Or if I have a problem with my escrow, I could just go right to the corporate office and talk to someone in servicing. I like that. I don't want to call an 800 number who's going to transfer me to 12 people. I don't want my loan sold 5 times. So I like that.
So it's more hands-on, like the
It's
community.
very hands-on.
The brokerage
Yes,
just kind of takes care of you while they're doing the transaction. The community bank kind of stays with you throughout, even after that.
forever. Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
that's a big plus and something that makes people feel comfortable. A big one that I like for Walden specifically, and that you guys do is no fees, right? Because
correct.
that's a big highlight, I think, compared to brokerages, which obviously everybody. I'm a real estate agent, so everybody plays their part. Every loan fits every individual differently.
Right.
That is a big advantage that if you go through a community bank and with like Walden, you definitely have. And I think Walden might. I don't even know that all community banks do that, but I know Walden specifically has no fees.
They do not. They don't have any points or underwriting fees. And I've had employees that have come to me with their children's loan estimates because their children, adults, want to do their own thing, and they go with a broker or a broker. And I'll look at that loan estimate and I'll say to them, "Why do you want to pay $10,000 in fees? That's has nothing to do with your closing costs." So, it's just it's a big difference sometimes.
Right. Especially for those closing costs. So I think that's a big highlight.
Yes.
And like I know that you got started kind of like got thrown into the fire with the land.
Yes.
What kind of made you want to keep pursuing it though, even like throughout? Because you've had such a long career and like, what keeps you passionate about it? Because I know you and I know how passionate you are. Like I remember just a quick story, the first time we ever met. I was coming fresh out of retail. I actually had quit, kind of like your husband. I was like, I'm just gonna go start doing real estate. I need to get my foot in the door. And,
Hmm.
my good friend Tori and Kevin, your family introduced us, and they were like, "Oh, my aunt's gonna give you a call," and I was like, "Okay, great." And I think you text me maybe, and they were like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you a call tomorrow morning at 8 a.m." And I remember just being like, "Oh, she's serious."
Yeah.
So like you wake up like this inspired, and I know you wake up so early. Like, what keeps you so motivated? What kind of keeps your fire going for the lending stuff?
I think I get emotionally invested in the people that I sit with. And that's why I explain it to every single client of mine as if they were family, because it is one of the biggest investments you're going to make in your whole life. And I feel the energy of that nervousness and uncertainty and this huge fear that they're making a big mistake. And it's not. The best thing you can do is buy a home. Why would you want to pay someone else's mortgage by renting? So I think buying a home I've owned a home since I was in my early 20s because I don't believe in renting. And so to me, it's a gift that I feel I am being given by helping my clients buy a home.
That's awesome. Yeah, no. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, it's definitely the largest investment. Most fear, I think that people feel when making a purchase is definitely with a home, and it has so much emotions that go attached to it, which I feel isn't discussed enough, right? Throughout the process.
No. Yeah.
Me as an agent, you as a lender probably definitely feel the bulk of that from the clients, which yeah, it's important to be passionate about it. So I appreciate that. What are some of the factors you feel are like instrumental to be able to do this, be in this business and to succeed longevity wise? What do you feel something like, what do you feel you have to have in order to continue in this business or have a 20-year, 30-year career?
I think you definitely have to like what you're doing and be very, very patient. Enjoy lots of paperwork. Enjoy staying involved in the process, because you can't just take an application and throw it into the lending department and hope that it sticks on the wall and hopes that the people get whatever they need to get, and then just maybe call them after the closing and say, "How did it go?" You can't do that, because that whole 45 to 60 days where they're in that process and they're waiting to be approved, they don't understand that when you send someone a bank statement, that you've got to send even that blank page because it's compliant. If you're doing a construction loan, why do you need my surveys? It's just so, and even getting the homeowner's insurance at the end, it's just, I feel you have to be there and hold their hand, because most people, they don't know. They don't do this
Right, their
all
first
day, every day like you and I do. So,
is there one transaction? Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that for sure. 'Cause definitely, even lenders specifically for what you're speaking about, I think that the most successful people that I know are definitely hands-on throughout.
mm,
You know, and the people that I see that kind of maybe struggle a bit are just trying to get the application. It's like,
sure.
hey, the appraisal in? Like, oh, I don't know if it was ordered yet. Okay, can you
Yeah.
find out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's super important for both of our industries just to be involved. With 33 years of experience, you did experience the 2008 financial crash, and I feel like I don't think that we're in that situation at all right now, but
No.
I think that transitions could be coming, maybe coming, I don't know. I'm not seasoned enough in that sense because I started in 2018. But for someone who did experience that 2008 crash and the impact of it with the banking sector and everything, what do you think are some of the challenges, or share some of your experience on navigating through those challenging times and like the lessons that maybe you took away from that for future experiences?
At that time, I worked for a broker, and there were several of us in the office. And back then, you literally could have a 580 credit score, which obviously is not good. You could work as, and I'm not saying that this is a bad job to have, but you could be working as a waitress,
Right.
and these people were buying $500,000 homes that they could not afford. But because you could have a bad credit score and not show your income and do 100% financing, putting no money down, it I saw it being doomed. I saw that it wasn't being a good thing to do. I wasn't even comfortable. And for the most part, I'm going to be honest with you, 95% of the people I worked with, I knew they were qualified. I knew they would be able to buy a home. But I saw my co-workers doing it, and they honestly didn't care because they were making their money and running.
Right.
So and there was this whole other phenomenon that the attorney was working with the realtor, who was working with the appraiser, who was working with the inspector, and they were all not doing the right thing. If there were problems with the house, it wasn't being disclosed. If the attorney saw that the loan had this type of it was called negative amortization, so you weren't even paying anything toward the principal of the loan, or it was a 1 year adjustable, and a year later you were going from a 5% to an 8%.
Wow.
How
That's
were
so
you able to survive this?
that's a
So
that's wild.
yeah, today it's not like that. People, our customers are protected today,
You
as
know,
you well know.
you know what's so funny though? It's such a good point because for me that never experienced that time,
Hmm.
I'm always so quick to tell people like, "Hey, why do you think that we would risk? Why do you think that we would put you in this position, or why do you think that we would risk like our reputations at hand?" But it's like, well, maybe those people experienced some of those things back then, or just heard the horror stories of that, and it's kind of hard. That's why it's hard sometimes for us to build trust because this has already happened in the past. Like I didn't even really realize that it was that aggressive, like that,
Yeah.
that things were going on. So it makes a lot of sense where now I get some skeptical people. And I always say one of the biggest hurdles that I have always to get through is like the trust part, right? Like, hey, I'm not just thinking like, obviously I need to get paid because I need to eat and survive. I'm not saying that, but I'm not here to do harm to you. Like, I want this to be a success for the both of us. And I definitely want this to be a success for you because the way that I feel about it is that's my reputation. And that's the only thing that's going to carry me on in this industry. So sometimes for me, it's hard to even understand why, like, why does this person think that I'm in cahoots with the inspector, or, that I'm not telling them the right numbers, or just that trust and that always that skepticism But if all of this was happening just only 20 years ago, it kind of make now at least it kind of gives me something to stand on and go, you know what? That I can understand why. Let me break it down a little further. So yeah, that's wild. That was wild times.
Yeah. It was very wild times. And today, the homes have increased in value more because of the phenomenon of the horrible COVID. And people left all the five boroughs in droves. And now we live in a remote world where we could work from home all day long and live up in this beautiful Hudson Valley and not have to deal with the craziness of traffic and commuting and the money that people spent commuting. So that's what pushed really the values of homes today. And I honestly, in my opinion, don't see them going down because there's always going to be that demand. Our remote worlds will never change.
Yeah, you know it's funny you say that because that's kind of like what my next question was what do you think the biggest challenges and opportunities facing lenders and borrowers in the current market are? But just to kind of add to that while you answer that, there's like a weird thing going on right now. So like a lot of people are like us, we're blessed and are able to stay transitioned and like well, I guess we were always kind of like that, right? But now we a little bit even more. Uh, we don't need the office space. We can work from home. We can do things like this. But a lot of people are having to go back 4 or 5 days to their jobs, and a lot of people moved upstate. But that's only one aspect of it. With this increase in prices, with the rates where they're at, with the lack of inventory, where do you see the biggest challenges or opportunities that are going to be in this market currently, in your opinion, of course?
I do not believe that a person should wait on the fence for the rates to go down. When I bought my condo in Astoria, Queens in 1983, obviously the prices of homes were much less, but I paid
I wish you
14%.
would accept that. That's worth a
I
lot.
know. But I mean, think about it. I don't think we'll ever see rates at 14 again. So the cyclical rate throughout all these years, the average interest rate is probably 6%. So we're between 6 and 7 now. Why wouldn't you want to buy a home again? Why do you want to pay someone else's mortgage and pay rent? Buy this home at 6.5, 7%. And when the rates drop, like they typically do because they're cyclical, you just refinance out of that. So don't sit on the fence.
because
Buy
the
the home.
home because the homes aren't like the rates are not really cyclical. They're kind of just
Correct.
the home price is still going up and going up and going
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. And even if it doesn't go up in that insurmountable amount that it did after COVID, it's always going to increase. You're never going to lose value in your home. And that whole horrible thing that happened in '08, that should have never happened. So it's just that was in its own world of its own because of all the abuse that happened in the market.
Right, all the predatory lending. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't, I think that we're probably gonna flatten out for a little while with home prices, but it really does depend on if rates drop a whole point, maybe not. Maybe they do go up. Maybe they do keep going up. But I appreciate your thoughts on that because that's something that I get a lot right now. Like, hey, should I wait? And I'm like, I don't think so. Unless what I tell people actually honestly is I go, hey, do you already own a home? You already own a home, then yeah, you can wait because you already own it.
Hmm.
But if you don't
Hmm.
own anything, you don't own any assets, and all you hear every day is inflation going on, well, then your money's losing value, you know. So it's better to hold it in some sort of asset. So yeah, I'm in complete agreement with that one. And then looking ahead, how do you see the real estate climate changing in the next few years? And what advice would you give to those entering the industry today?
What I have seen since COVID and now what is happening now is during COVID, when the prices started to increase, the generation of people that were ready to retire and they were on the fence and they might wait 2 or 3 more years, they said, let's retire, Let's get out of here. Let's sell our house for what the value that they would have never gotten before. So they're gone. And anyone in my generation, we all refinanced and we've got these amazing rates at 2.75.
Right.
Why would I sell now to buy anywhere? Because I'm paying more for a house and the rate is higher. So until my generation retires in the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be really tricky in these next 5 years because, of course, there's always the unfortunate things of divorce and death, losing a job that you have no choice but to sell.
Force it.
Yeah. Aside from that, you're probably going to see, you'll still see sales, but you're going to see more where people are not wanting to wait and they're going to want to buy land and they're going to want to build. So I think that's going to be where that was what my market was last year. I did a lot of construction loans because your age group they don't want to wait anymore.
I think it makes a lot of sense. I think, I think and also with the prices being where they are, once you're going over 600, 700, oh, I'll build it, right?
Yeah.
I'll start a brand new home at that point.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
that actually makes a lot of sense to me, what you're saying. And I do think it's going to be a little weird in the next 3, 4, 5 years, because that's the point. There's no inventory, and unless there's a real reason to sell, nobody really is looking to make a move right now because it's not beneficial to sell. Unless,
Mhm.
like I always, I'm always obviously farming and speaking with sellers. And my thing is always like, first we might touch on price and like, hey, your house is worth this much. And it's like, yeah, okay, I would consider, okay, but where would you go if you sold? Because I know that if we don't get
Mhm.
past that question, we are not going anywhere. If you don't have a
Yeah.
house already in Florida or North Carolina, why are you moving? You live in New York to move what? You're not getting a bigger house for the same price. So
Right.
that is, I would say, the biggest hurdle. I think so. And what would you want to share kind of? I know you touched on construction loan. I know that's a big thing, and you said kind of where it's heading. What would you recommend to people that are looking to do construction? Like, what are the benefits of doing a construction loan, and what kind of
Well,
construction you have?
so you could be your own general contractor and you can do a construction loan with us. And that just means you're not hiring a builder who's going to run the whole project. You're going to run your project. So in essence, you will save money when you're running your own project. You just have to get us all the estimates of the foundation, the well, the septic, framing. I mean, in its own entirety that we would have to sit together. Whenever someone calls me and says, "I'm looking to build a home," I want to sit with you because I think it's an amazing product. I love the construction loan, but it's paper intensive and it could be daunting. You have to talk to an architect, you have to talk to a surveyor, the building department. You got to get me surveys, you got to get me estimates. So it's a wonderful product, but you definitely want to sit so we can go over it. So, okay, now I've got to do this. Now I've got to do that. And then at closing, you don't get all the money. The money is given to you in phases. We want to make sure, okay, this group of work has been done. We're going to give you a draw. This next phase is done. We're going to give you a draw. And that's more to protect you so you don't have a contractor that doesn't come and doesn't do the work and says they're doing it and they're not doing it. And you're paying them all this money when the work's not being done. So we'll do it. We'll do the loan for you if you want to be your own general contractor, or of course, we'll do it for you if you hire a builder and we look at the contract and we make sure that he or she is doing right by you. We also do them for modular homes. So there'll be a phase in that construction part when the house is being delivered, because that uh, modular home company, they want that check at curbside when they're delivering that house, or else they're not dropping that house. They'll drive back with the house. We'll do a double wide as long as it's on a foundation. So it's a wonderful, wonderful product in today's market.
That's pretty awesome with the even with the double wides because I don't find a lot of people that are willing to do mobile homes.
Hmm.
They're
Hmm.
very hard. It's a real niche market. Like mainly it's just
Hmm.
the parks that have them, I think. So you
It's
are
right, as long as you have a foundation and it's your land. And they're beautiful today. I've seen, I see a lot of times the appraisals when the house is completed, and they're beautiful. You really wouldn't know that they're a double wide.
and what are they just like ballpark in the last few that you've seen? What are you seeing in pricing on them? Like are they still affordable? Are they still under 100
Yeah.
or are they above?
Uh, yeah, it depends on the size, it depends on the style. So, I mean, I've seen modulars. I mean, manufactured homes, double wides are still under 200,000. But you have to, once you look at that, you have to consider everything else that you've got to do, that foundation, the well, the septic, the hookup for the plumbing, the hookup for the electric. Um, but on a modular, I've seen $1 million modular homes
Wow,
that get brought to the property. Yeah. They come in 4 pieces.
that's phenomenal.
So yeah, yeah.
The modular and a double wide are way different, right? Because a modular,
There, yeah.
you're still getting everything that you would get like on a single family kind of home situation, right?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. A manufactured home, the style is always going to be much more simpler than a modular. A modular, you can get a colonial, you could get.
Right.
So,
That's so interesting. That's so cool. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of people that want to speak to you about that construction loan, the process of buying land, because you guys do land loans also, right? Those can go
yes.
in.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm sure you're going to get a lot of questions about that. So, in wrapping up, I want to ask you, where is the best place that people can find you, Anna? Where do people go to find you here?
If there will be an inventory of homes from people who moved up here because they were working remote and then they realized
You got to
they
go back.
hated it. They hated it. They hated the quietness. They hated
Got to
the
go
sound of
back.
the birds and the bugs. And so they wanted to go back and listen to
Real
the
city people.
sirens and the cars. And so they will, if it hasn't started already, they are selling, especially that they do have to go back. Their employers said, "Hey, it was great, but you have to come back. We need you in the office." And they don't want to commute 2 hours. It's hard.
Some of those people, it's too late for them. Unless they make a lot of money, they're kind of stuck because,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Because now the price is going up, the rates went up. What you can't come back down here to buy. If you
No.
went up there because it was affordable, you're probably not
Hmm.
coming back to buy now.
Yeah, you're right. You're
Because the
right. They would
prices,
have to,
yeah, the prices
even renting, right?
are aggressive down here. Like, yeah, like to buy down here is aggressive. Like,
Yeah.
you can still buy a beautiful home. I mean, especially where you're at, because you're way up there. But like, so you can buy a beautiful home for 500,000 where you're at.
Hmm. Hmm.
You can hardly buy a 1,200 square foot home here. A
Wow.
thousand square foot home for 500.
Wow.
Very, very tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
So most
Yeah.
people are just now dealing with the commute.
Yeah. And even renting probably is really difficult, right?
I think it's very expensive as well. You know, the same thing
Mm.
rent up there, a whole house up there for 3,500. You're renting that down here for 5,000 or for 6,000.
Wow.
It's double. It's a lot.
Yeah. Do you think that because a lot of companies in the city that had, let's say, 1,000 employees working in a building on Fifth Avenue, and now they only need half of that office space? Do you think eventually that office space is going to become like condominiums where
Well,
people will be able to buy them?
That's the issue that we're seeing now is that a lot of those companies, because they have all that space, that's why they're forcing them to go back. Because they're like, we're
Yeah.
paying for the space, we can't give it away. We have whatever, we have a what are those called that they do? They got to take care of everything, the triple net, and they got them for 50, a
Mhm.
15-year lease. They can't break that lease.
Oh, okay.
You guys got to come back in here and fill this space and work from here because we have it.
Yeah.
I think that that's a lot what's going on because they're getting really aggressive, specifically this year. Started last year already, but this year I'm seeing it a lot more where people are like, no, I got to go back to work 5 days a week.
Oh, wow.
Even the office,
Okay.
the office workers definitely. I mean, and whoever just didn't have the like, because those were the only other people aside from like lenders and things like that that were able to really work from home. It was mainly the office people, anybody, uh,
Mm-hmm.
but they're a lot of them have to go back. A lot of them are
Yeah.
now it's just a
Yeah.
community. It's more of a
Yeah.
group thing. So
I find though that being around your coworkers, you have a better camaraderie than when everyone was home. So there are benefits to people going back and being around their
social skills,
coworkers.
yeah. Social skills. We've definitely
Yeah.
a lot of social
Yeah.
skills in the last 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have four branches that I visit with. And at first I was like, at first I did not want to be home. I was forced to be home because
Right.
I'm used to being around people. And I was like such a shock. And then you get used to it. And then having to go back out was really, do I really have to take a shower in the morning? So and so now I'm back and I realize it's very important to be around your people, to have a presence, to be there so that someone can walk in and say, hey, I'm looking for an equity loan, I need a land loan, can we sit down? And I'm there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We're social creatures, and
Yeah. Yeah.
at the end of the day, the business that we're in is a social business.
Yeah.
I work from home every day. So like I'm home
Hmm.
except unless I have like a listing appointment or a showing, I'm home
Hmm.
in the office.
Hmm.
But I have
Hmm.
we do like a social network basically. Uh a social office, we'll call it, like, a virtual office. So I'm doing calls all day with about 5 or 6 other guys that also are real estate agents. We're all EXP and we make calls. But it
Oh, okay.
keeps the office space kind of like we're joking around while we're making our calls, we're doing whatever. But it also keeps like, hey, I got a question about this, or I got a question. Oh, I got a person who needs this house or that house. Just keeps us like, I feel like it is healthy and important to keep some sort of. What I do like is that it cuts out like the office gossip, right? Like I could just log off. Oh, gossip. I'm not here for that. So that
Yeah.
like the kind of like of it, but yeah, I agree. I think it's important to have that connection with people
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And you're always going to have your workers that work the minute they get on the computer to
when they
the
leave.
end of the day, and then the ones that they just never sit down.
You never.
Never.
You never.
They're
Exactly.
busy gossiping.
Exactly. That is the job for them.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
What is the best place that when people have questions about these remarkable loans that you do have available to you and construction loans, what's the best place that people can find you?
You could call me at 845-234-8310, or feel free to email me at ana.tranchina at Walden Savings, it's with an S, .bank. So Anna.Tranchina at Walden Savings .bank. And the reason it's a .bank is when you send me paperwork, it's a secure email site.
Right. So don't just be spamming. Only reach out if you're serious. And Anna, I just
You
want
be sorry.
no, 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 you're good. I just want to take a second to thank you again for joining me. You know how much I appreciate you and I appreciate your time. And yeah, I just you're gonna be my first guest on season 2 of the
Thank
podcast, which I'm
you.
very excited about. So thanks for joining, and
Thank you.
can't wait to get to see all this when it's all said and done.
Wonderful. Thank you, Vlad. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you, you too.
This is extraordinary. Can't ignore it. This my story. I've been more than ready.